Good day. My name is Father John Murray. I'm a Redemptorist priest stationed at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Basilica in Brooklyn, New York. I'm speaking to you from a wheelchair. In August 2010, I fell and broke my neck, and I'm basically paralyzed from the chest down. But I'm happy to be with you today. Let me read from John chapter 2, the wedding feast at Cana. On the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and the disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it, and when the waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it had come from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then, when people have drunk freely, an inferior wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this at the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. Stories are very unusual in the Gospel of St. John, and this is one of the most memorable stories in all the Bible, the wedding feast at Cana in Galilee. Let me put this story into context. Jesus had just returned from Galilee and his baptism in the Jordan River. On the way back, he called the first 6 of his 12 apostles, Peter and Andrew, James and John, Philip and Nathanael. Right on the spot, these 6 men left what they were doing and followed Jesus. 3 days later, they were at the wedding feast in Cana. According to St. John's Gospel, this was the first sign or miracle of Christ's mission of redemption. How appropriate that this, the first of his sign or miracles, is an act of kindness. They were at a wedding feast and they ran out of wine. Both families would have been terribly embarrassed and humiliated at this. The bride and groom would have seen their special day turn into a day of bitter memories if it had not been for Jesus. Mary is the first to notice, and she turned to Jesus and said simply, "They have no wine." Simple words of thoughtfulness. Jesus' response was not rude. It was rather formal for the day. "Woman, why turn to me? My hour has not yet come." Something was up. Dramatic and surprising things were sure to happen. Jesus was always obedient, and now he seems to refuse to grant his mother's simple request. But Jesus was always so understandable, and now he speaks solemnly, "My hour has not yet come." Mary did not complain or show any anger over her son's response. She was gentle and thoughtful, as would expect. She looked around the room and got the servants' attention, called them over and said simply, "Do whatever he says." What Jesus did next was absolutely spectacular. 6 water jars, 250 gallons of water, was turned into the best of wine. But notice it was not just ordinary water. It was Jewish ceremonial water. Catching on one of the themes of St. John's Gospel, that Jesus replaces so much of what was important to the temple. Jesus is the new temple. And to Jewish ritual, Jesus replaces ritual water with new wine. Jesus is the new wine that cannot be kept in old wineskins. What happened at Cana and Galilee was more than a miracle helping a young couple in distress. It was a sign, an event revealing who Jesus was and what he had come to do. In all the Gospels, the miracles are signs that Jesus is the Messiah. And this was the first of those signs in John's Gospel. It was a sign also of much more of what was to come. The first of many miracles to come. The first display of his undeniable power above all creation. The beginning of the establishment of a new covenant, a new promise of redemption for all people. And the apostles believed in him. A sign is not a sign unless it is seen. And this sign would have been insignificant if the apostles had missed the sign. But they didn't. They believed. In it all, Mary says only two things. They have no wine, and do whatever he tells you. Words of thoughtfulness and gentleness and guidance. Cana in Galilee was also the first of Mary's signs, because Mary has never stopped being thoughtful, and she gently guides us to do whatever he says.